Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back for another video. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to climb in TFT set 5. So these are gonna be the things that I think about the most whenever I'm doing my climb this set. So if you don't know who I am, and most of you probably don't, I was Challenger last set. I've been GM the 2 sets before that. And this set, I'm currently around top 200 or so, but it's early season and I've been leveling 2 accounts. And I have a second account that is currently in Diamond that I have an 80% top 4 rate, 1 tricking, Bane, Static Shiv, 4 Rangers, 4 Knights for fun, which is not a build, and I have an 80% top 4 rate during that. So point is, I'm not trying to ego or anything like that. Point is, I want you to know and trust that what I'm going to be saying is true and is working for someone. I'm not just going to sit here and tell you snake poison or make a video because I know people will watch it. I just want to make sure you guys know and can trust that what I'm going to say is what I'm saying does work for me. Cool, so let's just get into it. All right, first thing, this is a really practical thing that you can fix right now that a lot of you are doing, and I see it in a lot of games. Even in higher elo games, I'll still see people do this incorrectly, and it's because of last set. So stop pushing levels early. Doesn't mean you can't push levels, but let me explain. First, we have to kind of dial back to last set. So if you played last set, you'll know what I'm talking about. That set 4 and set 4.5 was all about pushing levels early. And let's talk about why that is. And talking about why it was last set will tell us why we don't do it this set. So the reason why you would level, I have this chart pulled up here that I made for a early game guide video that I made for last set. By the way, I have a guide for early game already made for this set. Link in the description and comment below if you want a more in-depth video on this exact topic. So you would have your 2 PvE rounds, and then you'd have a 3rd PvE round, and you'd pre-level. And so if you don't know what pre-leveling means, that basically means you level all the way up until you only need 2 experience points to level. And basically what that does is once you're 2 experience points from leveling, then when the round ends, you will level up. And before the next shop shows up, you will be leveled up, so you'll have increased odds. So you pre-level here to go from level 3, and then when this PvP round starts, when your shop shows up, it'll be a level 4 shop. That's the reason why you would do it. That's why it's good to do sometimes. But the reason why you do it last set and why you don't do this set is because we had access to Chosen. We had Chosen. And so what Chosen is a free 2-star. So the reason why you would do it last year is because either for 2 reasons. One, you didn't have a Chosen and you wanted access to a more expensive Chosen, like a 2-cost or a 3-cost Chosen. You couldn't get access to that if you didn't level. So you wanted access to that. Or you already have a Chosen that you're playing around, maybe a 1-cost or 2-cost Chosen that you're playing around, right? And you want to play around that, so you already have clear direction in your board, so you'd level up so that you can have access to the 3-cost units that will support whatever carry you're running for the early game, because you already have your carry 2-star or your frontline 2-star, and you're set on a build path that you're going down. Yeah, the reason why you don't do it in this set is because it's, you don't get Chosen, you don't get free Chosen, so you're not always going to have a 2-star in clear direction. If you have clear direction by PvE, and what I mean by clear direction means that you have a 2-star that you're playing around, like you have a 2-star Callista and you have an Aatrox pair on your bench, maybe you'll think about leveling. You can pre-level there. You already have your 2-star carry, you have a pair of Aatrox, surely you'll hit another one, and you can level to get access to higher units. Maybe you want to play around Legionnaire that game and you want to get access to Riven and Yasuo, so you level right there. That's definitely a situation where you could pre-level. But most of the time, you're just hovering on pairs, and maybe you have 1 2-star that you have, but you don't have a front line, and you have like a Leona, you have a same situation. You have a Callista and you have like a Leona and you have an Aatrox on your bench. You really need to 2-star them. Then I wouldn't pre-level there, because I want my odds to be for the lower units, because I want more of the lower units. It's especially good if you have no 2-stars at all, or maybe you have like a 2-star for example, if you have a 2-star Callista, but you have items to play someone else, like you have really good items if you got Ziggs or something, or an AP champion, you have really good items for that. So you would not level so that you have more money to work with. And so essentially, if you don't know your direction and you spend your money on experience, you will have no money to roll if things go wrong. You won't have any money to roll on 6 if you need to roll to fix your board. And you'll just be holding a bunch of units on your bench because you don't know what board you're going to play. And a lot of times you won't know what board you're going to play until this round up here, until the last PvP round. Sometimes you won't have direction. Sometimes after that, even if you get Mort Dogged. And so what will happen is you're holding all these units on your bench, and then you spent the money that you could spend on rolling. If you're just low rolling the early game, you're spending money that you could spend on rolling or fixing your board. You're spending on experience when you don't even have a board yet. So that's not good to do. You will get punished. In low elo, you might not get punished for this because a lot of people will be making the same mistake. So there'll only be a couple people who are high rolling that'll punish you really hard. But as soon as you start getting to like upper limits of diamond, once we're mid season, you're like diamond 2, something like that. If you're getting up there, you will get punished every game, pretty much. The big difference I think between like diamond and platinum is diamond is when they start to punish early game, and master they punish early game, and then once you start getting the GM is when they punish mid game. But this is about early game right here. So stop pushing levels unless you have clear direction in your board. So yeah, cool. All right, play the game flexibly. So if you're a one trick and you want a one trick and that's all you want to do and you just love one tricking, then just ignore what I'm saying, okay? Don't worry about it. You can still one trick in this set, but it's definitely not as good. And I know what you're thinking if you're one of those one trick people, but there's this one trick who was like hovering rank 2 the whole early season climb. It was Cled Bundy, right? He was one tricking a broken build. It's early season, guys. I'm not saying it can't work. It can definitely work, but early season, it also works a lot better. But I'm sure late in the season, we'll be seeing one tricks. There'll be a one trick that'll be like top 20 challenger. I'm certain there will be. So it still works, but the game benefits playing flexibly so much more. And so let me tell you why. There's so many more items now because of the access to the armory. And I know what you're thinking if you're one trick. Since there's an armory, I can select my items. Kinda. You're only selecting like, 20, 30% of your items. And I don't know the exact statistic, but it's something like that. And so, yeah, sure, that can benefit playing a one trick style. But what that also does is it helps people who are playing flexibly get their best in slot. Whereas you're trying every game to force a build to work. The people who are playing flexibly can get best in slots on their carry all the time. I mean, almost every game I can get best in slot unless I'm low rolling game and I'm having to slam really bad items and stuff like that just to survive. A lot of times I can get best in slot on my champs because I'm playing flexibly. So let me give you an example. If you have a game where you start with, you start 2 swords and a bow because you had to you wanted to start rod because you're like a I don't know, like a karma one trick or something. I don't know. You wanted to start tier or rod. But you start sword and then you end up getting a sword bow. And then your armory, your first armory that you get will be bow, cursed bow, cloak, and a sword. I've had that exact start before. And so if you are trying to play Karma or Vel'Koz or something like that, and that's all you play, you only play AP, sure, you can make it work there. Like, yeah, one of those swords can be a BT, one of those swords can be a Gunblade, one of those swords can be a Zeke's or a GA. Those work in AP builds. But here's what happens if you're willing to play Aphelios or Draven. Right there, that is a Deathblade slam already. I'm slamming Deathblade, right? I got a Callista 2-star. I'm slamming my Deathblade. I got a bow for my Rageblade, so I have a bow. So all I need is a rod, and then I'll have Rageblade. And I just got another sword, or I got a cloak. And there's no way that I don't get a cloak or a sword. Now I have BT, and there's no way I don't get a rod later in the game. So I have Deathblade, BT, Rageblade already. I already have the completed Deathblade. I have the bow, and I have a sword. So I have the completed Deathblade, and I have half of the components for the rest of my items already on stage 2. But if you're trying to force like Vel'Koz or Karma or something like that, and you get that start, well, the guy who's playing flexibly is going to have already some of those people are going to have already like best in slot or near to their best in slot. And then, this doesn't happen every game, but like if you're playing flexibly and you get a start like that, well, you're going 8th if you try to play Vel'Koz, you know what I mean? Like, you probably are if people are going to punish you. So point is, try to play more flexibly in this set. That's easier said than done if you haven't played enough, but it takes a lot of time. You got to learn a lot of builds and then learn how to play them. The best way to learn how to play builds is play a lot and watch other people play, but that's a different topic for a different day. Let's go. All right. And so with that, play strongest board. Play flexibly, play strongest board. They kind of go hand in hand because the flex play style is you play what is strongest at the moment, because it's okay, because you're fine with playing anything late game. You'll pivot into it. Let's talk about how to play strongest board. You've probably heard that term before. So if you don't know what play strongest board is, a lot of times I'll be watching streams or even in my stream, people come in and say, hey, what do I do? I'm having trouble early game. And that streamer will just answer simply, play the strongest board. And that doesn't mean like, oh, the strongest early game is Ziggs Hellion, so I have to play Hellions every game because I have to win early game. That's not what that means. It means play the strongest board given your situation. So don't try to force into anything early game, and you play what is strongest. So every round, especially early game, you're like optimizing for every round. So like you might even buy a unit to run it just for one round because it makes your board just slightly stronger, even if it's not going to be in your board next turn, as long as it's not costing you eco. You know what I mean? Like I'll buy a Syndra, run Syndra for one turn because I think I'm going to fight the assassin player, and it already kind of works with my board to just win the next round. Like that's good to do. So basically playing strongest board just means optimize every single turn. And the way that you do that, and one of the biggest ways that you play strongest board is by slamming items. Just slam your items. Just slam your items. Is that the next topic? No. Just slam your items. Sorry I was like, wait, did I make this one of the topics? Slam your items. The amount of times I go into games and I see people not having items on champions early game, it's insane. Every time I play in low elo, it's like that. Even in diamond elo, if you're a diamond player, like, dude, half of you guys, like diamond, like mid-season. Dude, half of you guys in diamond don't even slam items. I'll just look and they'll have, like, I'll look at someone's board and I'll be like, well, that's a death blade, that's a Runeans, that's a rage blade, that's a blah blah blah, and they're running like a Vayne carry, and they don't Vayne carry for the early games, and they're not slamming attack speed AD items. I'm just like, or Callista or something. I'm just like, because they're like thinking about keeping them in their board later, because you're thinking about a 6 Legionnaire board that you're gonna build forever now, and so you need to not slam items like Callista because those items are for Draven. Okay, stop doing that, man. Stop. If you got good AD items and you got an AD champ, slam the AD items on the AD champ early game. You're gonna sell them. Don't think about it. Even if that champion will go into your late game board, it's fine to item hold a unit that'll go into your late game board if it'll win you the early game. So like, for example, if you want to pivot into Vel'Koz, or Karma or something like that, and you have like Jeweled Gauntlet blue buff, right? And you want to pivot into, or no, let's say you want to pivot into Vel'Koz. You have Jeweled Gauntlet and you have Sojourn, and you're running Syndra as your primary damage threat on your team. Put those items on your Syndra as soon as possible. Even though you want to have Syndra in your late game board, she's so good in your late game board, it doesn't matter. You're going to roll like 70 gold on level 8 or level 7 or whatever you're going to do, and you'll hit your Vel'Koz and you'll probably hit your Syndra. So you'll just hit your Syndra, you'll get her back. And even if you don't, it's fine. Here's the deal. I would rather have a winning early game and mid game and have an uncapped late game board than I would having a capped late game board and lose every single other stage of the game. Because playing that way, playing a way to where you're trying to get the most perfect capped board every game, if you're playing against players who are at your same skill level, you will be just first eighth, or you'll just eighth, because they'll punish you. You'll just lose until people don't punish you anymore, and then you'll get better, and then they'll punish you. So play strongest board. I can't imagine open forting is going to be good at any point in this set. I mean, obviously, if you're a one trick, you're familiar with that style. I think you can still open 4, but every game I'm forced to open 4, that game I'm going bottom 4. So play strongest board, play aggressively, but yeah. So just slam your items and play strongest board. Come on, please. All right, keep up with the meta. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This is really obvious, and I've watched a climbing video a time or two, and they say this every video, and it's annoying. Okay, let me just give you my perspective on what keeping up with the meta is, and I'm gonna show you guys some of the tools that I use to keep up with the meta. So it's not very hard for me to keep up with the meta because I play this game pretty much full time, and I'm always keeping up with it and watch it. But how do I actually keep up with it? Well, I play the game, and the other thing I do is I use a couple tools. One, I watch other people play. That's really important to get someone else's perspective, because you can get locked in on your own perspective. So make sure you watch multiple people play, because even if you do watch someone who's better than you playing, you might watch like Soju or something who's a great player, and he might think like X item or X thing is terrible, and he might be right. But then there might be this other player who's using it at the same skill level, and he just understands, he just has more practice with that build, and so he knows how to make it work. And so you can get someone else's perspective to get kind of an other side of a meta that isn't like super mainstream yet. So it's really important to watch multiple people, or you'll get a really skewed perspective. So yeah, but if you don't want to watch people play, another tool that you can use are websites like tftactics.gg. That's the website that I use to look at statistics. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. I've actually been using it a lot lately. I used to not use this because I thought it was for noobs. I thought it was a noob trap as well. So basically what those websites do is they show you like best comps, like statistic wise, what are the best comps and best items. If you're super new to the game, the comp lists can help on those websites. If you're a more experienced player, those comp lists can be a little bit of a bait because they don't show you the full picture, and it's showing you like best case scenario, but like, you know, you're not going to get your perfect, you know, you might get your perfect build like 10% of the time. So those can be helpful as a guide, but don't take them as gospel. But one tool that is super useful is the items tabs on those websites when they show like win rates and how often they're being built versus their win rate and stuff like that. That's really useful to use, especially when learning like which items are just terrible. For example, I had been slamming Sunfire, even though I knew, you know, Sunfire is an item that you slam to win early game, and that's pretty useless late game. So you always know you're making that trade-off whenever you slam the item, but the actual win rate of Sunfire is the worst item in the game. And I was slamming that a lot, and the reason why is because the other belt items at the time of me making this video are way better than Sunfire is. So if you're wasting a belt and a chain on that, then you're losing the game. And I didn't know that because when I'm playing the game, it still feels good to slam Sunfire, but when you look at the statistics, it just doesn't work. It actually doesn't work. So it's really helpful to keep up with the meta. And so if you have a lot of time, and if you're playing this and you're trying to grind, and you have a lot of time, you know, you're going to learn the meta by just playing the game a lot and no lifing, stuff like that. And it's going to be really useful. But what if you don't have enough time to play the game? And so keeping up with the meta is challenging. What I would recommend is just every time you have time to go on like you're doing like you have a full-time weekday job. You cut out Saturday to grind for 10 hours. Okay, something that's going to be really important for you to do Friday night or Saturday morning, spend like 2 hours watching someone else play and looking at those websites. And that'll gain you a lot of LP by just being prepared for each climb that you want to do. All right, let's go in. This is the last one. This is going to be more of like my approach to climbing and like stuff that's going through my head and some things that I do outside of the game to improve my ability to play. This may not work for you. It's going to be just, you know, this isn't one size fits all like the other ones were. This is definitely more about just who you are as a person, but a lot of this stuff can help a lot of people. But mindset, ego, failure, then improve. It sounds like I'm giving an actual like a leadership seminar. But no, so have the mindset that when I always gain the most LP is when I have the mindset of learning. The mindset of I'm playing games to learn. And as soon as I start feeling like playing games to learn, and as soon as I start to feel like I really understand and I start winning a lot, and the way that I'll know that is I'll start winning a lot, then I'll start to ride that high of like, I'm winning, I'm playing to win, all right, I'm trying to do this, you know. But as soon as I start losing, I switch back into that learning mindset. So it's very important to every single game, think about what you can take from it. You can't take something from every game. Like I had a game today, my placements today were first, eighth. They were first, eighth, first. That 8th place game, I learned nothing from that game. I learned a lot from those first place games. A couple of those were high roll, a couple of those I was playing really well. I learned a lot from those first place games. I actually didn't learn anything from my 8th place game because I just got more dogged. But like, sometimes when you 8th place, there could have been a lot of stuff you could have done. Maybe you played mid game wrong. Maybe you played early game wrong. Maybe you had more options. Just make sure you don't have like a retroactive mindset of like 2020 hindsight. You know what I mean? So try to not have hindsight bias, but always be looking to improve and just be looking at every game as an opportunity to do that. Even the games, especially the games that you lose. Okay, the other thing I'm gonna talk about is ego. I basically talked about failure and improve, but the last thing I'm gonna talk about is ego. So this was something that held me back a lot for a long time, was I would have this ego where I didn't want to watch other people play as much because like, I'm a top player. I'm in games with this guy. You know, like I would just not watch, like I said Soju's name earlier. I would just not watch Soju for no reason. Like I like him, like he's cool. I like watching his stream, and I would just not watch him because I'm in the same games with him. So I'm like, what does he have to offer to me? You know? And that was when I was like low GM, but I could get into those games, you know? And I didn't start making a lot of meaningful change at that level until I just dropped my ego and started to think, well, obviously he's doing something right, and he's probably doing a lot of different things than me. It's because when I'd watch some other players play, when I'd watch other players play that were around my skill level, were just a little bit better than me, like someone like Soju, who's definitely better than me at the game. I'll admit, you know, I don't need to, he's better. When I watch him play, I'll see him make a lot of mistakes that I wouldn't. And so I'm like, I'm like, I'm not watching this guy. I would have done better. I wouldn't have done that situation better than him. Like, it's not hindsight stuff. Like, I just see it in the moment too. But then I would make mistakes that he doesn't make, right? And so every player has holes in their game, and every player has stuff that's super proficient. So even if you're already a good player, like you're already like a challenger GM player, you know, those are good players, then still just drop the ego, man, and just like watch what other people are playing and really think about it. And the other thing with ego is don't ego about not playing the strongest comp. Like if you get presented with like the first patch of this set, like LeBlanc was absolutely broken. If you get presented with a perfect LeBlanc build and you know how to play it, don't just not play it because you know you're trying to be edgy, or you're like, I'm not playing that because that comp is good and it's I'm not an abuser. I don't abuse good comps, dude. Just stop. Just stop. If you want to be good, you need to play what's good. And you need to because playing what's good will help you understand why it's good. And like, and you're just making excuses for yourself for why you can't climb because you're just like refusing to play what's good. I personally don't have a lot of fun playing super meta, but if I climb, I do play meta, you know, I have to play meta. So just drop the ego, man. Watch other people play. Other people, even players that you're better than, you'll see something that they do that they probably do that they do better than you. I'll watch players who I am definitely better than, and they'll have, it's not all the time, but sometimes they'll have a grasp over something that I don't. And by the way, if you're a master or diamond and you're watching this video, you're terrible. Okay, you're terrible. This is not an ego thing. I just need you to know this. Like, you're bad at the game. Okay? I'm bad at the game and I'm challenger. I'm not challenger right now because it's early season, but I'm bad at the game. Okay? I'm bad. And I'm way better than you. I'm way better than you. If you're master diamond, and I'm terrible. Okay? So understand that. Okay. Anyways, guys, that's the end of the video. Sorry for yelling at you, but that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys got a lot from it. Good luck on your climb. If you want more of me, I stream every day at twitch.tv/Trajan TFT, what you've been seeing on your screen. I stream every day. It's every Saturday. I am on a small couple day hiatus right now, but yeah, I stream every day, about 4 to 10 hours. So you can catch me there, or you can catch me on the next video. So good luck on your climbs, and thanks for coming. Bye-bye, guys. Have a good day. Have a good night, or wherever you're at. I just hope you're doing well. All right, see you guys. Bye-bye.